The moment I entered the courtroom, the air felt heavier than I remembered. My heart thudded in my chest, not from fear but from a deep mix of anger and exhaustion. I had spent months preparing for this day, gathering every piece of evidence, every document, every message that would finally show the truth. Across the room, I saw her, my ex-wife, Layla, sitting beside her new husband, Armin. The instant our eyes met, she quietly laughed, a sharp, cold sound that only I seemed to hear. Armin's hands trembled slightly, his eyes avoiding mine. It wasn't just a divorce case this time. It was about custody, and about lies that had torn my life apart. Layla had taken everything from me, my home, my peace, and worst of all, my son. For months she had convinced everyone, even the court, that I was unstable and unfit to raise him. But today, I wasn't the same broken man she had left behind. Today, I was ready to fight. As I walked toward my seat, I could feel every stare in the courtroom burning into my back. My lawyer, Mr. Rahman, whispered to me, "Stay calm. We'll win this with proof, not anger." I nodded, keeping my eyes fixed on Layla. She leaned toward Armin, whispering something that made him pale even more. Whatever she said, it wasn't out of love, it was control, the same kind she once had over me. When the judge entered, the courtroom fell silent. Layla instantly changed her expression, soft, tearful, innocent. It was an act she had mastered over the years. She spoke first, her voice trembling as she accused me again of being a dangerous man, someone unfit to raise a child. I clenched my fists but said nothing. I had learned that silence, at the right moment, could be more powerful than shouting. Then it was my turn. My lawyer stood, calm and confident, and began to present the evidence. One by one, he laid out the documents, financial records, recorded calls, and messages proving Layla had lied, manipulated, and even forced our son to speak against me. The courtroom murmured. The judge's eyebrows furrowed. For the first time, I saw Layla's confidence flicker. Armin's hands trembled again. He tried to steady himself, but when Mr. Rahman called him to the stand, his voice shook. Under oath, he stumbled through his words, trying to defend her. But then came the turning point, the moment that shattered her story completely. My lawyer played an audio recording. Layla's voice filled the room, cold and sharp, telling Armin how she'd make sure the court destroys him. Gasps echoed through the room. Layla's face turned pale. The judge looked directly at her, disappointment visible even behind his glasses. Armin couldn't even look at her. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument. I didn't need to say anything. The truth was already doing the work. When the court took a break, Layla turned toward me, her eyes no longer proud but panicked. "You think this changes anything?" she hissed under her breath. I didn't reply. I simply looked at her and said quietly, "It changes everything." Armin stood a few steps away, staring at the floor, realizing perhaps for the first time that he'd married someone capable of destroying anyone who stood in her way. After the recess, the judge announced his decision. The custody was to be shared, but with me as the primary guardian. He stated clearly that Layla's actions had shown manipulation and dishonesty that could harm the child's emotional well-being. For the first time in years, I felt my knees go weak, not from defeat, but from relief. Layla broke down, sobbing into her hands. Armin tried to comfort her, but she pushed him away. The irony wasn't lost on me. She had laughed when I entered the courtroom, but now it was her turn to tremble. Justice, though late, had arrived. Outside the courtroom, I found my son waiting with my sister. When he saw me, his eyes lit up, and he ran into my arms. That single moment made every sleepless night, every painful hearing, worth it. I promised him quietly, "It's over now. We're going home." As I looked back one last time, I saw Layla standing alone near the courtroom door. Armin had walked away, leaving her to face the mess she had created. Her quiet laugh from earlier echoed in my mind, but now it carried no power. It was just the sound of someone realizing they had lost everything they tried to control. I stepped out into the sunlight, breathing in the free air. The weight on my shoulders had finally lifted. The courtroom, once a place of fear and humiliation for me, had become the place where the truth stood tall. I didn't need revenge. I had justice, and that was enough. In the end, I learned something powerful that day. Silence, patience, and truth can cut deeper than any anger. And sometimes, the sweetest victory comes not from shouting back, but from simply walking away with your head held high, leaving those who wronged you to face the silence they once mocked.